You're listening to Saturday Morning Media. And now, back to our show. Here we go.
I was on the wrestling team in high school. Now, I joined the wrestling team in high school because I liked pro wrestling. I knew from the outset that wrestling in high school, and collegiate wrestling, as it is called, is not the same as pro wrestling. But it had the word wrestling in it, so I joined the team. I joined the team my freshman year. Now, the thing that they did was that wrestling is a winter sport, at least where I grew up. And there was no sort of winter semester. There was the fall semester and there was the spring semester. So what you had to do was you had to sign up for a sport because you needed to have that sixth period athletics period as your thing, and you couldn't just switch there halfway through the semesters and then switch out halfway through the spring semester. So what they had you do was sign up for a fall sport that would put you in that class, give you that sixth period, and then for the full year. So and I'm just remembering all these stories; they're flooding back. In the fall, I signed up for cross country. I may have told this story before on the podcast, and I apologize if I do, but I promise you I'm going to get to a story that I have not told on the podcast. And I am not a runner. I have never been a runner, and cross country is, you might as well just forget about it. And seriously, what me and some of the other wrestlers would do is one of the coaches would go out into the mean streets of Burlingame, and you would have to run to them, check in with them, that's the halfway point, and then run back to the school. Well, a bunch of us wrestlers, we would all take off with everybody else. We would double back. We would get into one of our cars. We would drive a couple blocks from where the coach was to check in, and we would run up, check in, run back to the car, drive home, wait a little bit, or drive home back to the school, wait a little bit, join the rest of the runners coming. We had great times, and they always wondered why in meets we didn't do as well. Because we were cheating. And then in the spring semester, I would take track and field, and I threw shot put, and I was never good at it. But these cross country and track were just to justify being in wrestling. Now, speaking of not being good at it, I was not good at wrestling. My first year, I was horrible at it. I was not good. My entire first year, I won one match. That was my freshman year that I was involved in wrestling. I won one match, and it was my last match. And it was in the losers bracket of a tournament because it was like a double elimination tournament, and they had like a first place winner who went one way in the bracket, and then they had like second place. It was the losers bracket. I won the losers bracket. Anyway, that was my one win or something. I don't remember. I just kept losing and whatever. It didn't. My heart wasn't in it. But I did do it for 3 years. I did it until I was a junior, and I think it was my junior year where I was kind of like, well, this is not my thing. I had gotten into, especially my sophomore year, I got in it. We had a theater teacher that I really liked, and I was like, yeah, performing is my thing. Sports is not my thing. But I was on this team, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna hang out on this team, and I'm gonna do this team. And man, oh man, the things, you talk about, there's kind of like this thing about ballet dancers and about ballet dancers maintaining their weight and the things that they do to maintain their weight. Wrestlers, it is just the same. It is just the same. We would starve ourselves for 2-3 days before weigh-in, and then as soon as weigh-in happened, we would pig out on whatever we could possibly eat because we've already made weight. And, there were many times going to the bathroom where guys were getting sick in the bathroom because they were trying to make weight. And if you didn't make weight, you had to run and you had to spit, and it was not a pleasant thing. But anyway, my junior year our team was really good. And it was not because of me. It was not because of me. Our team was really good, but it was not because of me. It was because of our incredible senior team. We had the wrestlers who were a year ahead of me were just incredible. And we wound up actually winning the district title for all those other schools. Now, when you're on the wrestling team, just like if you're on the football team or basketball team or whatever, you go have competitions against the other, schools in your district. Well, one of the schools was the school Cappuccino. They did not have, yes, it's Cappuccino, that was the name of the school. They did not have a wrestling team. But what they did was they had, for anybody who was interested in being on the wrestling team, because they wanted to provide that, those kids worked out with the Mills High School team. So if you were going to Cappuccino, you wanted to wrestle, you went and worked out with the Mills wrestling team. And then whenever Mills had a meet against another school, it was actually a meet against two schools, because you would meet against Mills and then you would meet against Cappuccino and the people who were at Cappuccino. Well, my junior year, Cappuccino only had one person who wanted to be a wrestling thing, and I was junior varsity, and he was junior varsity in the same weight class, because wrestling is all weight class. So it was me versus the one guy from Cappuccino, who was basically the entire Cappuccino team, even though he worked out and wrestled with the Mills team. It still counted as a match against Cappuccino. I don't remember much about the actual match, but I won the match. And I think I pinned him in relatively quick order. And it was one of my very few, extremely few, I maybe had one or two other wins that whole season, but I beat the entire team from one of the local high schools. And that's what it became is like, yeah, Grant beat every single member of the Cappuccino High School wrestling team. Now, never mind the fact there was only one guy on the team. And I got lucky, but there you go. That is it. I did not, my senior year, they asked me to be in athletics. And I think the thing was you had to have a certain number of athletics. Maybe not. You had to be in some sort of athletics class. And by that point, I had gotten so into acting and theater my junior year. We had done Chicago, and I was Amos in Chicago, and I was all in on this acting stuff. I just took a regular PE class during the day so that I could study, or I could be in the theater productions at night, and no more sports for me. Plus, I knew that with all these incredible wrestlers who were a year ahead of me, who were graduating because they were all seniors, that our team was going to suck the next year. And it's like, I am totally the type of person who will take the glory when it comes, and then when I can see that it's not going to happen, I'll be like, goodbye, see you later. Because trust me not being on the wrestling team did not take away at all from the wrestling team. Anyway, when I went into college, no athletics whatsoever, absolutely, and it's been that way pretty much since. But yeah, I did not. I don't know. I had an okay time wrestling, and there's been a few things where people have reached out to me and be like, "Hey, we're having a reunion of that district winning team," and I'm just like, yeah, I think I'm okay. I think you guys have fun. My heart was not into it then. My heart is not into it now. And you have fun. And that's it. So that's a little story I wanted to tell about the time I single-handedly beat an entire wrestling team from another school. Thank you to all the Saturday Morning Media Patreon patrons who make the GrantCast and the other shows from Saturday Morning Media possible. A special shout out to our patron producers Dorothy Baciocco, Eve Cunning, Kathy Crawford, Tony Urbano, David Akers, and Vicky Sebring. If you would like to support this show and the other fine content from Saturday Morning Media, visit patreon.com/Saturday Morning Media today. And thank you for your support. This episode of the GrantCast is copyright 2022, Saturday Morning Media, Grant Baciocco, executive producer, all rights reserved. www.saturdaymorningmedia.com.
You've been listening to Saturday Morning Media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.